Greetings, magical mages and spiritual sages. Welcome to Age of the Mage podcast. We are on episode 51, and we're going to talk a little bit more about magical archetypes. We are working our way through the 9 magical archetypes. They are the warrior, the healer, the guardian, the sage, the commander, the oracle, the keeper, the builder, and the weaver. And we've already covered the warrior, the healer, the guardian, and the sage. So today we're going to go over the commander. This is an interesting type of archetype because many people might jump to the conclusions that this isn't that great. Oh, I don't want to be one of those. They're going to be bossy, or other people won't like it if I say I'm a commander. But I want to remember that some of these archetypes, we're learning about ourselves. We're putting together this magical persona by fitting pieces in about ourselves and our natures, our preferences, and those things we're naturally good at. We're kind of getting to know our magical talents, our spiritual powers. By doing these imaginative and intuitive exercises, working our way through analyses based on magic, looking at ourselves through the lenses of magic and spirit. And so we want to get to know ourselves, and we don't want to stand in denial if we discover that we have a talent or a strength, fearing that may be no, that's not the one I want. I want that one over there. We'll do so much better if we are very happy and receive our gifts with open arms and learn how to recognize and utilize our natural powers, our natural talents, and our natural gifts. We can always extend and begin to learn skill sets in other areas. Of course, no one is boxed in. No one is limited to just 1 or 2 archetypes. But we often find that we prefer certain roles, where we're happiest when we are fulfilling certain types of tasks and certain duties, and that these things make us happiest. So we don't want to ever shy away from anything based on what we think others might think. We want to be authentic and come to know our true selves and stand tall in that truth and be proud of ourselves. And so commander has kind of it could have a negative connotation if you wanted to focus on the wrong kind of commander, like the dictator or the tyrant. And that's not at all the case in this archetype we'll be discussing. This commander is the type that's revered and a natural-born leader and is looked to and is able to lead others. And because of that excellent form of leadership, that's definitely two-way. It's between him and any of those who are choosing to assist him or follow her or him. It's because of that exchange that even more can get done, because someone being willing to step into a leadership role, if they are truly gifted at that type of role, can really help a group move forward, or even just a couple people move forward and accomplish what they want to really do, instead of spinning wheels or not getting as far as they'd like because no one is willing to take on that leadership role. So as we go through the commander, I think it's important to keep that in mind. We are talking about the types of leaders that are very beneficial, helpful, benevolent, and would be great assets, valuable assets to any group. So let's start with the general characteristics of the commander. Commanders are leaders, often charismatic and engaging. Some are born with leadership tendencies, and others develop these traits over time. These souls are willing to shoulder the responsibility of leading others through perilous and challenging situations. We look to them for guidance, support, and expertise. An adept commander also knows how and when to delegate tasks to others. Commanders share the characteristic of courage with warriors, and they feel protective of their charges, much like guardians. They share wisdom based on their experience, as do the sages. And they often heal psychological setbacks through motivating and encouraging words like healers. They rely on employing bits of each archetype as the situation demands. They project the broad vision. They understand the big picture, and they refrain from micromanaging the details. Successful commanders help their companions stay on track, maintain focus, remain engaged in the relevant events, and encouraged in times of discouragement. This is a lot to balance, and it requires clarity of vision and strength of character. Commanders who earn the respect of their groups through integrity, fairness, and consistency are invaluable additions to any team. So, as you can see from that description, they are so very valuable and rare, and they have to balance so many different moving parts all the time. And when they do this with the best interest of those assisting them, those following them, when they do that with the interest of the group in mind, and they naturally understand that they're shouldering the responsibility for a group, they become, just indispensable. We need them. We need them to help keep us on track and guide us. And we're grateful for leaders. So we're going to break this down, as we have been doing with all the archetypes, into 3 types of styles. And you'll recognize these, I am sure. So we're going to start with what I'm calling the royals, the royal commanders. They successfully lead others by holding themselves to the highest of standards. They tend to have a regal air about them. They retain dignity and a sense of self-assurance, even in times of disruption and chaos. While they're aware of their oversight and their responsibilities, they view their magical counterparts as team members who rely on them to offer wise counsel and appropriate support. They're also aware that they may need to make unilateral decisions for the well-being of the entire group, and they don't take this responsibility lightly. They approach the decision-making process with gravity and give serious attention to all possible consequences. As is the case for any of the commanders, they need and appreciate a group that's willing to trust them with leadership responsibilities. They often appoint assistants to help them, but they remain aware that the true responsibility lies with them. Examples of magical icons might include something like a golden scepter or a purple crest. So whenever I mention these icons, these are types of vision things, imagery, something that pops to mind that you can hold on to in your mind and even take with you. You can charge them. You can take them with you when you move into etheric spaces to work magic and to be in that space. And sometimes having an anchor of a very strong image that means something to you reminds you of your role while you're there, while you're doing things, while you're working. So these little icons are just possibilities. We all can choose our own. That really means something to us, of course. All right, we're going to move on to the military commander. The military commander often finds himself in the uncomfortable position of squelching emotional uprisings and restoring order to damaged environments while simultaneously managing a wide variety of passionate team members. These commanders are drawn into conflicts and situations that by their very nature demand their unwavering focus and their ability to take decisive, appropriate action. They tend to make good decisions based on gut instincts and sharp intuition. In magical settings, these leaders are competent and reliable when facing off against challenging aggressors. They're also excellent at gathering people together to strategize and discuss new goals that can seem overwhelming and out of reach to most people. They're very good at rounding up the troops and accomplishing the tasks at hand. They enjoy success and bring a winning energy states into their spheres of influence. Examples of a magical icon here might be something like a waving flag or a silver sword, something that really has that charge. Let's charge in and get this done energy. and others can follow that energy and take part in it and actually feel it for themselves. And that boosts them as they go on to do the task. They are filled with that commander's energy and single-mindedness to accomplish that task. And so the military is a little bit different style than that royal. I would say more emotionally based. And his followers are probably more aware of emotion, and they're more emotional themselves, perhaps even. So he has a task on his hands because he's the, or she is the, either one is the type of commander that is going to help balance their teams, help them stay in relative neutralities, while at the same time really taking advantage of each team member's strengths. And we tend to be very passionate about those things we can do and those things we want to do. And so managing that passion and helping it funnel into the right direction is an extraordinary ability. And we see that in the military commander. And the third type of commander that we'll go over today is the contemporary. The contemporary commander breezes through the business boardroom with ease. These commanders are eager to take on unjust legal systems, bring down bloated bureaucracies, and circumvent the corruption of the dark puppet masters. They rally disheartened troops, and they reach heights no one could ever imagine by keeping the team's goals firmly in sight. These commanders unite people through a shared vision to eliminate suffering and transform negativity wherever it appears. They find others who share an affinity for their goals and naturally fall into positions of leadership as they demonstrate their uncanny ability to grasp the invisible bottom line and unravel the target's defenses with speed and precision. They help their team members break down complex goals into reasonable steps. If a magical group is determined to reform a social injustice or cleanse a large or corrupt corporation, there's no better style of leader to have at the helm than the contemporary commander. And icons might include something like a judge's gavel or the scales of justice. So these style commanders, they're pretty well versed in current events because that's kind of their strength. That's their forte. And they recognize where we see injustice. They recognize where we see corruption. And they're willing to say, hey, let's do some magical work over there in that spot that needs to be cleaned up. Let's shine some light over in there and get this going so that we can correct the imbalance in this area. And so people come around this style commander because they share his or her vision. They share the idea that they too recognize a darkness that they would like to change into light. They too see this. And so they want to join forces and they want to tackle this. And so it does take several sometimes willing to team up and work as a group to really break down some of these, firmly entrenched systems that have been running on things like fraud and darkness and lies and deception for so long. And it takes a team dedicated, and it takes a commander that can weave his way through the mayhem to get to the things that are really going to work and help inspire those that are on his team to, or her team, either one, of course, to help with this. So these are the three styles of commanders, and basically they're a type of leader. We need leaders, we love leaders, and they get a bad rap sometimes because some of our more materialistic 3D leaders, they really overstep their bounds. They overreach, they take on too much power, and it starts infringing on our personal sovereignty and our personal powers that we would like to see remain intact, right? But these are not at all this style of commander. These are leaders that we need to work in groups and have more efficiency because we have their leadership. And so we want to remember not to toss the baby out with the bathwater all the time, throw away a word just because it might trigger us. We want to remember that a benevolent leader can really help exponentially increase the power of a ritual or the power of prayer work or the design of an overall project that's going to unfold in phases, perhaps. And it helps sometimes to have someone overseeing that and being willing to be the connector, help others connect with each other and stay on top of it and keep moving the project along. So it's a very positive style of leadership that we are discussing here today. And if you see yourself aligning with this magical archetype, that's wonderful. By all means, I mean, we're going to need this as we move forward into a world that is changing. And we want to step onto the timeline that's the best for all of humanity. And we already see the battles being fought, don't we? We already see truth having a difficult time trying to emerge in the face of darkness and deception that would love to keep it underground and not let it be revealed. And so, if you recognize that you have these leadership qualities and you're interested in magical and spiritual work, please don't hesitate to send a message our way and let us know. And we would love to meet you and love to support your natural abilities as a leader. And we will continue moving through the 9 archetypes when we return, and I will do so shortly, but I will say goodbye for now.